3.5 and 3.6, it didn't record from our class discussion, so I'm going to go back over that for those of you that need to have a recording of the lecture for 3.5 and 3.6. In this section, we're doing systems of equations. Which means that we'll have two or more equations to solve at the same time. The method that we are going to use for the first few problems will be the elimination of a variable. So as the word indicates, we will be eliminating a variable in each of the equations. You will want to make sure the equations are in standard form. We are used to having equations into the y equals mx plus b form, but this will be ax plus by equals c. So you'll want your x and your y on the left side of your equal sign. We're going to start with an example. This will be example 1. And we have two equations. This is actually from your set of equations, so you'll see one like this on your set of equations. So you see we have two equations with two unknowns, x and y. So you want to draw a line below the two equations. And combine the like terms. To eliminate a variable. So I'm going to draw my line here, and I'm going to check to see if I can eliminate any variable. If not, then I'll probably have to multiply one or both of the equations by some number. But I can see that I have a positive 4y here and a negative 4y. So if I just combine those two will eliminate each other. They'll cancel out. So I just add my 8x and my 8x, which gives me 16x. And over here I'll have a negative 12 and a negative 52, and that gives me a negative 64. Now I divide both sides by 16, so I end up with x equals negative 4. Now, use either original equation to solve for y. I'm going to choose the first one. Normally, that's just what I do. I take this first equation that I have here, the 8x plus 4y equals negative 12. And I'm going to solve for y by taking my negative 4 that I found out for the x and putting it into this x position. So now I have 8 times negative 4 plus 4y equals negative 12. That gives me negative 32 plus 4y equals negative 12. Add 32 to both sides, and we'll have 4y equals, and I'll have to subtract because the signs are different. 32 is larger, so my answer will be positive 20. Now I divide both sides by 4, and so I find a y value of 5. write the answer as an ordered pair unless it is a written problem with words or word problem that specifies what to do with each of the numbers. So I'm going to write my answer as an ordered pair. That means the x needs to come first. So I'll have a -4, 5 for my answer. And that's our example 1. Okay. Example 2. This is from the section 3.5 and 3.6. My example on this one is actually the number 4 from your set. It has 5x plus 3y equals 38. And it has the second equation of 3x plus 5y equals 42. Now you can see that if I just drew my line and tried to add these, I would end up with 8x and 8y, and then a large number over here, 80. So I didn't eliminate anything, which is my goal to do this problem. So I pick a variable that I want to eliminate. Let's suppose I want to eliminate the x's. I need to figure out what I can multiply each of the equations by to eliminate an x. I can see that if I multiplied this first one by a 3 to eliminate the x, and the second one, if I multiply by -5 to eliminate the x, I would have a 15x in the first one and a -15x in the second one, and it would eliminate my x's. So that is my strategy for this problem. I'm going to take my 3 and I'm going to multiply it by the 5x plus 3y equals 38. I'm multiplying everything in the equation. Actually, what I'm doing is multiplying both sides of the equation by 3. That will give me 15x plus 9y equals 114, I believe. Now I'm going to use a -5 to multiply by the second equation. And actually what I'm doing is multiplying both sides of the equation by -5 and distributing. So what I'll get will be here a -15x, and you can see that I had a positive 15x on the first one, so those will eliminate, minus 25y equals -210. Now when I draw my line, I can see that I have a positive 15x and a -15x, so those will eliminate, and that is what I wanted to do. I have a 9y and a -25y, which gives me a -16y. Over here I have to subtract because the signs are different, and I get -96. Dividing both sides by -16 gives me y equals to 6. Now, I put the 6 back in, and I'm going to choose my first equation again. My 5x plus 3y equals 38. That's my very first equation that I had up there. And I'm going to take my 6, and I'm going to put it in the y place. So now my equation is 5x plus 3 times 6 equals 38. Or 5x plus 18 equals 38. Subtracting 18 from both sides gives me 5x equals 20. Dividing both sides by 5 gives me x equals to 4. And again, you want to put your answer in an ordered pair form. The x is 4, the y is 6. So that's the way we do that one. Next, they will move to linear equations with 3 variables. We'll have 3 variables in these, an x, a y, and a z. So let's see what these look like. There will be a question that will ask you what a linear equation looks like that has 3 variables. So it will say a linear equation in 3 variables. And they want you to know that there's an x, and there's some y, and there's some z, and it's equal to some number. That gives us the 3 variables in the equation. A solution of a linear equation in 3 variables is called an ordered triple. And it looks like 5, -2, 3, where the 5 is your x, the -2 would be your y, and the 3 would be your z. So they will go in that order. We are going to solve 3 equations with 3 variables by using matrices. That's going to be our method because it will kill 2 birds with 1 stone. We're going to do matrices. You can do these with determinants. You can solve them with eliminating the same variable twice. You can do them numbers of ways, but we're going to choose this method, and that way when we get to matrices and we're going to have to save some time, we will already know how to put our matrices in our calculator. This is really example 7 that you'll have. It says x plus y plus z equals 0, and 2x plus 5y plus 2z equals -3, and -x plus 8y minus 3z equals -11. So what you want to do, you can see that some of these coefficients are missing here. This one has a 2, a 5, and a 2, but there's not one here. There's really not one here. So what you want to do is fill in those places with a 1 coefficient if you have a variable. So the first thing we're going to do is first put in the missing coefficients. When we do that, we'll have 1x plus 1y plus 1z equals 0 in the first one. 2x plus 5y plus 2z equals -3 in the second one. -1x plus 8y minus 3z equals -11 for the third one. Now, we have 3 equations with 3 unknowns, and we have added in all of the coefficients that we're missing. What you need to know is this is called the body of your problem, and these are called the answers. For the body of the problem, we will set up a matrix that's called matrix A. And for the answers, we'll set up a matrix that's called matrix B. So for our matrix A, we will have a matrix that has 1, 1, 1, 2, 5, 2, -1, 8, -3. Notice that I didn't put in the x's, the y's, or the z's. I just used the coefficients. For the answer matrix, I have 0, -3, -11. Okay? Now, in addition to knowing that what a matrix is, you'll need to know some dimensions. So dimensions are things that we'll have to put in first. And it's the number of rows by the number of columns. Rows go across, so this is row 1, row 2, row 3. So this one has 3 rows, and columns go up and down like columns in a house. So this is column 1, column 2, column 3. So this is a 3 by 3 matrix. This one is row 1, row 2, row 3, and we only have 1 column. So I would say the dimension on this would be 3 rows by 1 column. Those are things that you're going to need to do. Okay? Now, the way that you would set this up so that you could solve it would be to set up your X, Y, and Z and set it equal to your matrix A, which is 1, 1, 1, 2, 5, 2, -1, 8, -3. And notice that we have moved our coefficients that went with these X, Y's, and Z's over to the other side. When you do that, what you have to do is use a little inverse key to get that moved over. And that's going to be an x to the -1 that we'll put up there. And we'll work on that several times, so don't worry about getting that confused. Our answer matrix is 0, -3, -11. So what we're going to end up doing to find X, Y, and Z is to do matrix A in our calculator, take the inverse of it, and then do matrix B. So all we have to do now is to figure out how to put those things into our calculator. Okay, on our calculator, there's a key that's called the matrix key. So I'm going to turn my calculator on, and you can see that I've already been working with a matrix here. And this is the way it will actually end up looking. Matrix A inverse times matrix B will give us our X, Y, and Z for our problem. This was a different problem that I put in earlier, so I'm going to get out of that. I'm going to clear that information out. Now then, let's do it into our calculator. The steps for matrix A is to do second key and then find the matrix key and go over twice to edit, because what we want to do is put in the numbers. So I'm hitting the second key, which is the little blue key, and it's going to make the things that are in blue here be what I'm getting. So I do second, and the matrix is above this x to the -1, which I will use when I get ready to put my inverse in. So it's right above that key, and you can see that you get names, math, and edit. Now, I already have been using this, so I already have some matrices in my calculator. Yours is probably blank. But what you want to do is go over twice, like the arrows indicate, to the edit, and then you can see that it's highlighted on number 1, which is matrix A. So all you have to do is enter at that point. So you hit the enter key. Now, the first thing it always asks you to do is to put in your dimensions. As we have already determined, our matrix A is a 3 by 3. I already have a 3 by 3 in there, but if I didn't, I would just put 3, enter, 3, enter. So I'm putting in the dimensions. Okay. In our case, it was a 3 by 3 for matrix A. Now, after you do that, you can see that you have to put in the numbers, which are called elements. And if you want to know if you're doing it right, it will tell you down here in the bottom that that's a 1, 1, which means row 1, column 1. So in our row 1, column 1, we want to put a 1 in, and it goes across. You can see it when you do it. So you hit in 1 and then enter, and then 1 and then enter, and 1 and enter. And now notice that it skipped down to row 2. Put in a 2, enter, 5, enter, 2, enter, -1, enter, 8, enter, -3. Be sure you enter on the last one. If you forget to enter after the last one, then you'll have the old element in there. All right, now you should have all of your elements in there the way they are in your matrix. That's matrix A up here. So you're ready to quit. So to do that, you hit the second button and the quit key, which is right next to the second button. It's the information above mode. So I would do second and the quit key, and it gives me a blank screen. So now I'm ready to put in matrix B. So matrix B is my answer. And so let's remember how we got in there. We did second matrix and over to edit. So I'm going to do second and matrix and over to edit. Now my highlighter is on A, but I have already put A in. So I want to go down to B, and I'm going to enter. See how B is highlighted? So I have to go down to B, and then I enter. Now again, it's going to ask me to put in the dimensions. And on my answer matrix, it's a 3 by 1. And again, I already have mine in there. Once you get them in there, all of these problems will use the same ones until we get to the matrix section at the end of the course. So you'll have yours already set up and ready for the test. So 3 by 1 is what I put in there. And you can see that it's ready to put in your numbers. So you enter in your elements. So put in your elements. And enter after each one. And let's see if we can do that. 0, enter, -3, enter, -11, enter. Don't forget to enter on the end. Now to get out of it, you do second, quit, which is the key right next to second. And you have a blank screen. All right, so now what we want to do is to get our screen to look like this up here. Matrix A inverse matrix B. If we multiply those, we will get our answer. So let's see how we do that. This is after we've entered. We do second matrix, and we're looking for a second matrix, and you can see that A is highlighted. I don't need to go over to edit because I've already put the information in. So I just put enter. Now remember, I need that little inverse because I want the A to be on the right side of the equation instead of the other one. So I'll have to use an inverse key to do that. My little inverse key is my x to the -1. So put your x to the -1 in there, and you'll see that it just puts that little negative, which is going to make the inverse of matrix A on your screen. So it looks like what I want in my rectangle. Now then, I want matrix B. So I do second matrix, and I can see that A is highlighted, but I don't want A. I want B, so I have to arrow down one until B is highlighted, and then I hit enter. And it will put B on my screen. Now I'm ready to get my answer. It looks like what I have in my rectangle, so I just hit the enter one more time, and it will give me the answers to my problems in a matrix form: 0, -1, 1. That corresponds to x is 0, y equals -1, z equals 1. And if I wanted to write it as an ordered triple, I would do it in that form. And what you want to do is to practice that to make sure that you get that information down in your head on how to do the calculator. Okay, let's talk about some problems that we will be doing in transforming words into algebraic symbols. You've done this probably before in your life, but we're going to do some translations. Translation of algebraic equations and expressions. Remember, an expression, it doesn't have an equal. Equations do. These are called translations. So we're going to take some words and see if we know the meaning of those words. If we had the words increased by, that would mean that we would add it. Okay. Difference, you'll see that word difference in several of your problems. That's going to mean to subtract. Some people are not aware of this one. This one's a hard word to remember sometimes. Quotient. Quotient means the answer you get when you divide. Product is the answer that you get when you multiply. And sum is another word that we use sometimes to add. There are several of these that reverse expressions. It's real common for them to use reverse notation. So let's look at some of them. 34, and the word is less than some number, and they want their some number to be y. less than will reverse. It will bring the 34 over here to this side and the n to this side. So what you end up with, or the y, is y less than means minus 34. So see how that reverses? Let's try another one. 17 more than. More than always reverses to. Twice means 2 times. And we're going to let our number be x this time. More than's reverse. Twice means 2 times. So this part is going to come over here on this side and be 2x. And this part is going to come over here and be 17. And my more than will be plus. So we have 2x plus 17. Let's try another one. A added to n. This is another reversal. The n comes over here on this side. The a comes over here on this side. And added to means plus. So we'll have n plus a. Okay, if I have m subtracted from q, subtracted from is another reversal. So I'll have my q. Let's make a curly q on that so we'll know it's a q. A q would come over here on this side. The m would go over here on this side. And subtracted from means minus. Okay, some other things that you'll need to remember for this section as you do it is that if you have a percentage, they'll say so much percent, you'll need to change to a decimal. So if you had 46%, you will want to change that to 0.46. Remember, percentage means hundredths, so it would be in the hundreds place. That's really 46 hundredths. 2% would be 0.02 as a decimal. You'll need to be able to do that. Let's look at some examples. This is example 20 from the support section. The sum, notice it says sum, of two numbers is 8. That one will make their first equation right there. Use your two numbers to be any variable. I'm going to use x and y. So if I wanted to have the sum of x and y, my first equation would say x plus y equals 8 from the first sentence. Then it says if 1 is subtracted from the other, the result is 2. Find the numbers. All right, so our second sentence here will give us our second equation. If 1 is subtracted from the other, and it really won't matter which way you do it, you're going to just subtract one from the other. So our numbers were x and y, and we're going to subtract. The result is 2. Now, I'm using the process of eliminating a variable. I could use matrices on this one, but it's a lot easier to eliminate a variable when you have 2 by 2's. I can see my y's are going to eliminate because one's plus y and other one's minus y. So I have 1x here and 1x here gives me 2x's equals 10. Divide by 2, and so x would be equal to 5. Now use either of the equations. I always use the first one. x plus y equals 8. And I'm going to take my 5 and put it back in for x. So now I have 5 plus y equals 8. Subtracting 5 gives me y equals 3. So the numbers are 3, 5. Notice I don't put it in an ordered pair. I don't have to put the x first. I can just put either number down first. So I can put it any way I want to. It'll be a little box for you to put it in there. You don't put it in an ordered pair. It is just a word problem and asking for two different numbers. You don't have to put them as x comma y. Okay. Let's look at another problem that you will have. I think this one is actually in the college algebra section, but all of you will have to do this one. This one is a problem that uses information about a triangle, so we'll have to know a little bit about a triangle. It's actually number exercise 3 in the section 3.6, I believe. In triangle ABC, the measure of angle B is 7 more than, there's one of our reversals, 3 times the measure of angle A. See how angle A is mentioned last in this first sentence? See how it's last? That's what you want your variable to be, because it's mentioned last in the first sentence. So I'm going to let the measure of angle A, I'm using a little m there, for measure of angle A be x. Now, you go back and read your sentence and see if you can figure out anything else. It says the measure of angle B. Here's our angle B right here. So my angle B, let's see what it says about the measure of angle B. 7 more than 3 times the measure of angle A. 3 times would be 3 times, and we let angle A be x, and 7 more than is going to be a reversal. So this is going to give us 3x plus 7 for our angle B. 3x plus 7 would be 7 more than 3 times the measure of angle A, which I let be x. Now let's see what else our problem says. We have angle A and we have angle B, so there must be an angle C. The measure of angle C is 38 degrees. Notice that angles are measured in degrees. They can be measured in other things, but in our class they will be degrees. More than the measure of angle A. Now they want us to find the measure of each angle. Remember the angle A we already know. We already let it be x. We already did that. And we have a more than, so that's going to be a reversal. The x is going to come over here on this side. The more than means plus, and the 38 is going to come over here on this side. So we have the measure of angle C is 38 degrees more than the measure of angle A. So the measure of angle C would be x, which was angle A, plus 38. Now, what else you need to know is that if you add the three angles together, you get 180 degrees. That's something that you need to know. Measure of angle A plus the measure of angle B plus the measure of angle C is always going to equal to 180 degrees. Now you could make this 3 equations with 3 unknowns if you want to, by using your angle B and angle C, or you can just put all 3 of the angles added up to get the 180, and that will be a shorter problem. You can do it either way if you'd like, but in my case, what I'm going to do is add angle A, the measure of angle A, plus the measure of angle B, plus the measure of angle C, and I'm going to set it equal to 180 because that's what I need to know. Well, I know angle A is X, so I'm going to bring it down here. And I know the measure of angle B, it's 3x plus 7. So I'm going to bring it down there. And I know the measure of angle C, it's x plus 38. If you want to know how to do these with 3 equations and 3 unknowns, I'll be glad to show you. Now, you can add these up. Remember, this is 1x, and this is a 1x. So I have 1x plus 3x is 5x. And 5x and 7 and 38 is 45 equals 180. So I've combined like terms. Now I have to subtract my 45 from both sides. And I have 5x equals 135. Divide both sides by 5. And you have x equals 27. I let x be my measure of angle A, so that's going to be that answer. Then I have 3x plus 7. If I put my 27 back in for x, I would have 3 times 27 plus 7, which is 88. And that's the measure of angle B. And then I can do x plus 38 for my angle C, which would be 27 plus 38, putting the x back in. And that's my 65, which is the measure of angle C. So those are the 3 angles, 27, 88, and 65. And if you added those together, you would get 180 degrees. Well, those are the different kinds of problems that you'll be doing in this section. I gave you an example of the harder ones, so hopefully you'll be able to do the problems. If you can't, you can always contact me by text or by telephone. And so I hope that you are successful getting this assignment done. In another video, I will do each of the sample problems from your homework. Have a great day.